And it's Ken Kreitzer for CBSI Services, talking business, another episode during the COVID virus crisis, talking to marketing and communication leaders about how to help businesses. And we're very pleased today to talk with a good friend, Patty Devine, who is an independent consultant, has taught extensively at universities in the New York area, Baruch and Fordham and NYU, and working with many clients. A good friend from both the Hudson Valley Direct Marketing Club and the New York Direct Marketing Club. Patty, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Ken. Fine, thank you.
Great, great. We saw each other last at the New York Direct Marketing Club in January, a great event. Tell us a little bit about what is some of the general advice you're working with your clients on in terms of trying to cope, trying to communicate with customers and employees and all the stakeholders around a business.
Sure. Well, first of all, this is hard, and I hope that everyone's families are safe and well. 99% of us are just figuring out our new reality, but there are some very sick people out there, so I just want everyone to know my thoughts are with you and your families. The way we work, socialize, eat, exercise, educate, everything has changed in the last few weeks. And so a lot of people are just trying to figure out the new reality. And I think some of the key things here are communication is key. You said this from the beginning, you have to say something. Nature abhors a vacuum. So get your communication strategy going early, make sure you're clear, and just talking to your stakeholders, your employees. People want information now. After I worked at Time Magazine during 9/11 and was always very impressed with the way the Time Inc. titles handled the crisis, and especially Time Magazine with the news. So, I have some pretty good teachers on crisis communication. And the other thing, some people are bored and laid off, use that time to grow personally. Some people are working harder than ever. So use that time to support others, help others that may, need support or just haven't been through something like this before. So I think it all comes down to the communication.
Well, absolutely, and communicating with customers. Now, you have worked in had your own restaurant for a period of time, and obviously areas like e-commerce are continuing. What are some of the advice that you have for a business that is able to continue, especially like restaurants that are able to continue doing takeout in many cases?
Sure. Yeah. I'm somewhat glad that I don't own the restaurant anymore. It would be a very hard time for me financially if this was going on. So I think for those of us that are working hard and still getting paid, absolutely support your local businesses. My friend is a respiratory therapist in Long Island, and there's people have come together to purchase food for the hospital workers and health workers. So just think of ways, like if you do have the money to support local businesses. I love the creativity that everybody's come up with. All the distilleries making hand sanitizer and, just all kinds of things. We have a florist shop, she's just putting beautiful bouquets of flowers up. Instagram is just flooded with pictures of happiness and sunshine. And I think we need a lot of positivity. There's a lot of people are scared. There's a lot of bad things happening. So, whatever your brand is and whatever your message is, just continue with that, right? And go out and do your job, whatever that is. If it's to raise your kids, if it's to, feed your community, if it's to help with digital marketing. So, I think we're advising to up the social posting. I had a client we were doing 3 times a week. Now it's 5 days a week. They're a B2B client. So, people just want information. And I think one thing I'm advising as well, don't sound tone deaf. If you're making, especially in an email where you have a little bit more room for words, start that with a soft opening, like acknowledge. I've tried to start all my meetings with a how are you? What are you facing?
Sure.
Just sort of understand where people are at. I guess, again, back to the communication, but just some of the keys are don't be tone deaf, understand, sort of acknowledge what's happening, and that people are going through a lot of stuff from every end of the spectrum. It's like we've all been turned on our heads.
Absolutely, no question about it. Our hearts go out to the medical workers and hospitals very close to us, White Plains Hospital and others in the area that are doing amazing work, really heroic work. I have to say that. Now, for many of us, it's taken a turn to working at home, and I'm in my home office here in White Plains. My wife is working downstairs in her new home office. What have you seen as far as the keys to people doing this really a massive conversion from working in many cases in traditional offices to really over the course of a week or so, or even a weekend, switching to home offices? What have been some of the keys that you've seen for making that successful transition?
Well, Ken, I've been working from home for 17 years, and I have to say I even had to make some changes. You'll see I'm standing here. I just am not used to sitting at a desk all day. You know, I'm running into the city, meeting with clients up and down. So, you know, and I know for your job, this must be hard. You're used to being out in the field and interviewing people and going to conferences. So
Sure.
so even if someone does have the tools to work at home, it doesn't mean you want to work at home. So, you know, what I found just for myself, even though I'm used to working home and I'm set up to work at home, you know, I get much more on a schedule now. I, you know, make sure I'm sort of at my desk by 9, try to wrap it up by 5 or 6, you know, stop, make my lunch. You know, because again, if you're busy, you'll look up one day and you've been at your desk for 11 hours. So, you know, I do try to get more rigid schedule now. I think finding your quiet place. So my friend has 3 kids, and she does like a morning message on Instagram, and you'll find her in her basement or her backyard or her garage or whatever. So just finding wherever that quiet place is, if you have family and pets at home. And take this time, like if you're not working, to enjoy and appreciate your family and friends, and so, you know, and your pets that, you know, love you. Your dogs love you. Your cats, I hear, are hating this, but but yeah, just you know, and I've just tried to spend every day finding like at least one silver lining to this, you know. So small little things that wouldn't have happened if we weren't here at home and in this crisis.
Yeah. I think my wife has me on the schedule. I think I'm on her work schedule, which is start early and work fairly late. But we've been going out for a walk every evening about 7 o'clock, which has really been neat.
Yeah.
One of the things we've been watching is the conversion on contact centers to remote work by contact center agents who are really taking the brunt of activity from emergency calls. There was a huge surge on with the airline business taking cancellations and requests and getting people home from faraway places. And now, you know, the increased use on all sorts of contact centers, especially even on e-commerce. So much more shopping it's again another move towards e-commerce. What do you and also the availability of the cloud. Because if a contact center uses a cloud-based system, they're much more easily able to switch representatives to working from a home office. What have you seen that's working as far as this, again, conversion to a remote contact center servicing?
So I don't work a lot with contact centers, but I can sort of generally answer that question. What I think is interesting is we probably all could have done a lot of these jobs from home, and for whatever reason, our culture or, you know, whatever, we were going to an office every day to do something that, you know, you don't need to do. So, you know, I understand how hard it is to pivot that quickly. But, you know, if we think about even Superstorm Sandy or 9/11, we didn't have all this technology in place that we do now in order to be able to sort of just work from home. So as a digital transformationist, I think this is great, because what I've been sort of preaching for years is happening, and you know, people don't like change and they're used to their routines, and this has forced people to learn Zoom and you know, sort of figure out how they can work without getting in their car and driving to an office every day. So I think there's a lot, again, this is one of my silver linings, right? That you mentioned that you just learned Zoom. I've had an account for a year. I just got my 1-year renewal.
Uh-huh.
And as living outside New York City, it's a lot of money and time to commute in. And I encourage this kind of, I think we can be more productive if we're not commuting and, all the energy and money put into traveling to physical spaces. I do hope that the conferences and the networking events come back, because those are important. But
Well, I would say it's important to meet a person the first time, but if you've already met someone and you have a relationship, that this can be very effective. I have a possible interview with a banker that I'm working on, and it was in Florida. And I was thinking about, well, do I make a trip down there? But this would work very effectively for that situation and many others. So I think it's going to be a long-term impact on business travel. And I know our company is using Zoom virtually on the hour. So it's a great new capability. Now, one of the things that's happening in our business, kind of in banking, and especially in not just the smaller banks, large ones too, is being part of this disaster response legislation by the government. And I've noticed that some of the business trade groups are starting to explain the different benefits that are available to small businesses and not so small businesses. But it looks like the way they set it up, and hearing the Treasury Secretary last night, is that they're going to use existing banks as kind of a distribution and processing key for these initiatives. What are you seeing happening as far as banking? That's going to create a lot of traffic to banks as far as trying to be able to help a vast number of small businesses and workers.
Yes, so I am working in the insurance space quite a bit, and so there's a lot of legislation coming down around that. So a lot of my days are spent communicating the insurance regulations, and I did look into, I'm in Dutchess County here, and we got a call from our city council member last night directing us to the Dutchess Business Notification Network, BNN, Dutchess BNN, and where you can easily apply for the Paycheck Protection Program. So as a small business, that's something I'm definitely going after. I had a lot of sort of bids out there and things that I anticipated to come through in 2020, and of course that's all on hold. So while I do have a few core clients, I was building my pipeline and that's been shut off. So as a small business, that's what I'm looking at. In the insurance space, it's, quite a tangle with, business interruption insurance and whether it's covered by a virus, and employers trying to keep their employees on benefits, and what's happening with premiums, payments, that's been put on hold for 60 days. So, that's a big challenge here. Other verticals I work in, I do digital marketing for a local municipality here in Dutchess County, and worked very closely with them the first week because we have a lifestyle page as well as a government page, and what goes on what page and how do we keep the positive message. And, most of those people hadn't been through something like this. So we really ramped up being there to support this municipality and get the lifestyle page, especially. Everybody's a little stressed, and they can get outside. It's a small town, they can go for a hike. So sharing that information on outdoor activities and some historical information about pandemics. One of the things I think has been really interesting is things like Smithsonian or history centers are talking about the 1918 pandemic or hardships during world wars, and things that people can relate to, and feel like, wow, our ancestors went through a lot more too. This isn't the first time we've had this kind of stress and something affecting the entire population. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, we've seen, I do a little work with the American Museum of Natural History, especially with their Hayden Planetarium, but they've been sending out to their members little walkthroughs of various parts of the museum. So it creates an interesting little break to watch one of their videos about the natural history that they track. Now, one of the things I want to just tap into you on is your expertise in e-learning, which I think every school in the country, from elementary schools to high schools and colleges, are really on a dime trying to implement across the board. And I know you've been teaching online. I've taught online for a number of years too. But what's happening in e-learning? How is the adjustment to this going? And what's the key to making it successful? I was always trying to figure out the formula on e-learning, and it's not as easy as people might think.
It's not. It's actually a lot harder because everything is documented. Those nice sort of off-the-cuff conversations you'd have in a classroom, you know, don't exist. And when I was teaching at Baruch, we couldn't do this synchronous learning where, you know, I'm talking and teaching. It was more asynchronous where I would post assignments and they'd do them and they'd turn them in and I grade them. So, you know, and I'm looking forward to getting better at synchronous learning and teaching. You know, so I think it's a very different thing. It's not, you don't just sort of recreate the classroom experience digitally. So, you know, I did everything from revamping the assignments to the presentations to, you know, the workflow. And one of the things I really worked on, and I hope my students appreciate this now, they didn't always appreciate it in school, but that, you know, that sort of virtual teams, right? I forced them into virtual teams and I just said, go sit in your apartment, wherever you live in New York City, set a time and meet as a virtual team. And, you know, there was some resistance, but they were so scattered, and New York City can be so big, and you've got people upstate and in Jersey. So it wasn't the way they were normally being taught, and there was a bit of resistance, but, you know, I hope they appreciate that now. I was really coaching them because in the real work world, you know, I've worked with people I've never met in other countries and other time zones. So I wanted to replicate that for the students during the time I was at Baruch, and hope to continue that at New Paltz as well, where I have them form groups and really work together and think of themselves as a team, not like as the individual student. So that was always important. And in terms of like people who might have time now and quiet time, definitely take charge of, you know, all these webinars that are available. You know, people I've talked to that have downtime, there's so much, everybody's turning everything into a webinar.
Sure.
Shameless push, we are giving a webinar for the MCMA on September 14th at 3 p.m. It's a Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about marketing automation, and I have a panel of very smart people from HubSpot and an agency and a media company and a data provider. So we're putting together a really great presentation, and we're really thinking about the MCMA members, the Media and Content Marketing Association.
There you go. I was going to spell that out. I was going to say that enjoy going to those meetings when I can.
Yeah. So hopefully you can join our webinar on the 14th. Yeah, we're really focusing on putting together really quality content and understanding what can help the members at this time. So we're really excited for that. And then if you have a particular skill, you know, and you're sitting at home, start teaching what you do. I have a friend who's a tennis coach who's laid off, and he was teaching, you know, serves and how to put tennis balls in a sock and practice your serve. And so I have another friend who's a bartender who's, you know, working from home or not working from home, and he does quarantine cocktails, and his spin on it too is that he tells you how much the drink will cost. So he make sure it's very inexpensive to make the drink. So I thought that was an interesting twist. So
you know, I'm hoping to maybe get my long delayed book project going over this period. I got to maybe over the weekend start that one. Patty, final thought for our audience on messaging keys for small businesses to as we move into this kind of the second phase. We got past the initial shock phase, but now we're into, okay, it's ongoing, and we've got to communicate and maintain things. What's your thought on that to wrap up today?
I think I wrap up most of my talks with hang in there. You got this.
Well, good thought. It's key is staying engaged with friends and family, business colleagues. I like to pick up the phone, especially if it's someone I haven't talked to in a little bit, and just check on them and converse for a moment. I think that's so important. Patty Devine, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patty Devine Incorporated, independent consultant, works on direct digital social media, and is serving a bunch of municipalities up in just north of New York City, as well as teaching coming up at New Pulse in the fall. Patty, thank you so much for
Yeah.
everything today, and stay well.
You too.
Appreciate it. This is Ken Kreitzer for CVSI Services. We work basically in the credit card business for 30 years, providing benefit programs to our member banks. And again, thank Patty Devine. So for CVSI Services and CVSI Talking Business, this is Ken Kreitzer. Have a great day, everybody. Stay well.